You swore that you wouldn't overreact this time, but one look, one tone, one comment, and boom, you're right back in it. It's not about what your partner says to you, it's about your nervous system and what it believes is actually happening. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what's behind your relational triggers to help you gain insight into what's driving this dysfunction. But before we do, hit that subscribe button and turn the bell on for notifications for when I post a new video weekly. So what is a trigger really? Relational triggers are what's happening between you and other people. It's the moment that your nervous system says danger, even when there might not even be any danger. These are often reactions to perceived threats to unmet core emotional needs like connection, respect, autonomy, and safety. And listen, you're not overreacting for no reason. You're reacting to something very old and very familiar that was probably painful for you long ago. The most difficult part of this is that it's unconscious. You may not be aware of these painful experiences because you've spent a lifetime or maybe many, many years building up your defenses and your armor to protect yourself from feeling them. This sounds like, yeah, my dad was critical of me and yeah, he used to beat my ass, but it was good for me. It taught me respect. Because you had to adapt to your aggressive father, you built up defenses and armor to the emotional pain of your dad being critical and hitting you, justifying it in some dysfunctional way that it was good for me. Well, what's the result of that? You become a person who criticizes and reacts aggressively when the people that you love hurt your feelings or criticize you, or when something isn't exactly the way that you want it to be, because you've justified that being that way is somehow good for others because it was good for me. Another example, I was left alone a lot as a kid. I was raised by a single mom and she worked really hard to put food on the table. It was up to me to take care of myself and to take care of my little sister. It taught me to be independent and resilient. Now, we're not blaming mom for being a hard worker. Not at all. It was the circumstance that this person is adapting to. So the defenses and the armor that this person created was because I had to adapt to the emotional neglect that I felt growing up of mom not being around. I now keep people at a distance. Even though I desperately want to feel close and connected, I feel uncomfortable when someone attempts to nurture me or try to take care of me. I interpret those attempts at taking care of me and nurturing me as feeling smothered, and I push back away from that because I don't need anybody to take care of me. That's weak. These are just a couple of hundreds of examples as to how you've built your armor and why you react the ways that you do. So what's behind these triggers? Schemas. Schemas are deeply rooted mental and emotional maps created early in life. These are core templates or internal blueprints that shape how a person views themselves, other people, the world, and what they expect in their relationships. These maps are developed through repetitive early relational experiences, especially when core needs aren't being met, like safety, love, empathy, attunement, and autonomy. There are 20 different schemas, each one signifying a different dysfunctional map. Everyone has schemas to one degree or another. We cannot survive our childhood and get through our entire childhood in this pristine condition where we never have any challenging experiences. So everybody has schemas, so you're not alone. Schemas are what's behind your triggers, and they're also your red flags because they're dysfunctional to a significant degree. Most of us develop our schemas as a result of negative interactions or dysfunctional interactions with our primary caregivers. However, we can also develop our schemas from difficult situations that we were put in or difficult relationships that we were put in as kids with coaches or teachers or, anyone who has any kind of influence over us. And they develop as a result of what you make things mean when you are adapting to these dysfunctional situations. And when you take on those meanings as truth, they become a belief, and those beliefs turn into schemas. So let's talk about how your schemas are actually triggered and activated in your relationships. We're going to go through several examples of these. First, you had to earn love because your parents were very conditional and transactional with you. You developed an emotional deprivation schema, which makes you withdraw, feel anxious or resentful when your emotional needs are not being met. Or you fear abandonment because your parents were divorced and dad moved out. He rarely spent any time with you because he was busy spending time with his new family. You developed an abandonment schema which makes you feel panicky anytime you feel like you and your partner have any degree of distance. You had to manage the chaos of your overreactive parents growing up, adopting people-pleasing strategies to keep them satisfied so that you stay off their radar. You develop the self-sacrifice schema, which makes you overly focus on other people's needs while feeling also resentful that your needs are not being adequately met. Your partner criticizes you, and that activates your defectiveness and shame schema. I'm not good enough. So you cope with this by using your anger to defend yourself. You may rage, shut down, deflect, and find ways to get back at your partner by being critical to them. These are emotional survival strategies. Those strategies get locked into your nervous system because we adapt to survive our circumstances. The trigger is not about what's happening. It's about what it means to your wounded inner world. Why you keep reacting the same way. The dysfunctional schema loop is your own personal hell. When the schema gets activated, that triggers emotional pain, and then you act in ways that actually reinforce the schema. For instance, your partner seems distant. It activates your abandonment schema, and you interpret that your partner is cheating as a way to explain why she's acting so distant. You then react to your imagination that she's cheating and imply or accuse her that she is cheating. That's of course going to upset her if she's not. It's going to shut her down even more and increases the likelihood that she will actually leave the relationship because of your insecurities, creating the abandonment that you fear. In my program, Breaking Reactive Patterns, I teach you how to map out these personal triggers to these old wounds that are driving them, these schemas, so that you can respond more effectively and like the adult that you want to be, not the child that you had to be. And so here's some questions you can start asking yourself today when you feel a relational trigger. Number one, what does this remind me of? Number two, what am I afraid this means about me or my relationship? Number three, what story am I telling about myself, my partner, or the situation? Number four, is that story true? Why or why not? And number five, what are some alternative explanation to what's happening? Remember that our schemas operate in our imagination, in meaning that they are like the narration inside of our mind. It's what we're making things mean. Now, it may not be really apparent to you because so much of this is unconscious and we react lightning quick to those situations. However, in my program, as we start to slow everything down, that you start to understand the unconscious programming that's happening that's making you react in these certain ways and why you keep spinning in these reactive cycles with your partner, creating the very things that you don't want, sabotaging the whole thing. I teach you how to interrupt those patterns as a way to break those dysfunctional cycles once and for all and get you moving towards the healthy adult that you really want to become. Remember, a trigger is a time to reflect, not react. Our mind is telling us that we're in danger. However, this is likely a perceived threat. It's not an actual threat. Just 10 seconds of pausing to identify the schema story instead of attacking your partner can greatly reduce any chances of the dysfunction coming out and you repeating this cycle. Remember, you're not broken. You're just running an old pattern that made sense back then, but doesn't serve you anymore. You can unlearn your reactivity. You can build more secure relationships, even if you never had one modeled for you. If you're ready to finally stop reacting and start the process of healing these patterns, join me in Breaking Reactive Patterns, the blueprint for building a safe and healthy relationship. The link is below. Finally, your partner is not your enemy. Your triggers are not your truth. It's time to rewrite the script. For more information on this topic, watch this companion video here. And as always, thank you so much for watching and for your support.